What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. Amazon Prime Day sales are now live, and there's a lot of stuff that's marked down, which does include some Nintendo first-party games. So I figure we go over a bunch of the things that are on sale here today. Also, we are going to be talking about the Steam Machine as we had the big price reveal, and there were certainly a lot of reactions online, but also some additional info when it comes to what the price should have been and how you can indeed make your own Steam Machine right now if you want to. And we also have to talk about Kojima's big game OD, because we got some new details on it, and it certainly sounds like a Kojima game. We'll go over all of that and more. Guys, if you enjoy these videos, make sure you hit that like button. Helps out a ton. And if you're new here to the Spawn Wave channel, make sure you subscribe down below. And of course, members for the channel do get Newswave early. If you would like to learn more about that, click the join button or link in the description down below. And we're going to start today with the PlayStation 6, actually. In fact, the estimated release timing for it, which people do believe still, is end of 2027. Well, now there is some talk about maybe it not coming out until 2028 or 2029. That was in a recent report coming out of Embracer, but they did cite analysts, and now we actually have someone who's been following along with the development, specifically when it comes to the R&D for the AMD chip. That's Kepler over on NeoGAF, and when asked about this, he simply posted a gif of Dan DeVito just nope, like the idea of it being delayed. Now, to go a bit further here, he did actually back up another post that mentioned, well, a lot of these contracts are in place, and that doesn't really make sense for them to delay it when you have engineers who are constantly working on this stuff, trying to meet a certain deadline. You would delay it if there was legitimate problems with the product that they're trying to sell. In this case, if everything is on track, Mark Cerny and AMD working together, of course, their teams with this Project Amethyst, I mean, it seems like they're on track. So holiday 2027 seems very likely. And the big thing here is I think cross-gen in general will be very, very relevant for years and years after the PlayStation 6 comes out. And Sony may view it that same way. Look, it's going to be expensive, but we'll have the PlayStation 5 available with support going forward for someone who wants a budget-friendly option starting at $600. Oh, and we have Devil May Cry 5 for the Switch 2, and actually reviews and comparisons went up, and this looks pretty good. Now, one I liked was GVG. They had a video where they were putting it up against the PlayStation 4 version, which, yeah, okay, it feels comparable there, although the Switch 2 looked better, and it actually was trying for 120 FPS, which is actually what you'd expect out of the PlayStation 5 version. It seems like when you turn on 120 hertz mode for your TV with the Switch 2 connected, it will just unlock the frame rate for that game and attempt to get to 120. It seems to sit somewhere in like the 80s for the most part, and even at times just right at 90 frames per second. Occasional spikes, though, up to 120. Overall, though, this seems to be a very impressive port, and it's coming in at the price of $30. So if you've never played Devil May Cry 5 and you are looking at it here on the Switch 2, I mean, good news there. Capcom continues to roll along. You know, one thing I've realized with the Nintendo Switch 2 is if you're going to be taking it anywhere, you really need a good case setup. And recently, I've been using the Belkin Charging Case Pro, and honestly, this thing has been way more useful than I expected. Traveling with the Switch 2 can be tough without the right setup, so today's video is actually sponsored by The Setup with Belkin and their Charging Case Pro. This isn't just a carrying case. The big thing here is that it actually has a built-in power bank integrated directly into the design, which means you can keep playing while your Switch 2 charges inside the case itself. The power bank is built into this hinge section on the back, so you can prop the system up while it's charging and continue playing at the same time. That's probably my favorite part because I've used a lot of cases before where charging feels awkward or you have cables hanging everywhere, but this keeps everything clean and organized. You can also charge the power bank externally without needing to open the case itself, and there's a battery indicator right on it, so you can quickly check the charge level at a glance. And the build quality feels premium too. The outside shell is durable, the inside is well padded, and it's clearly designed to protect the system from scratches, bumps, or getting tossed in a backpack when you're heading out somewhere. I've been bringing it with me when going out for the day and running errands, since you never know when you'll get a few minutes waiting around to get some gaming in. I'll be taking this with me on vacation over the summer as well, since there's nothing that says real gamer like hanging by the beach and playing some Switch 2. Oh, and they have it in 3 different colors: charcoal, pistachio, and sand. If you've invested in a Switch 2, you should probably invest in a way to not only protect it, but also empower it, literally, with the Belkin Charging Case Pro. Check the link in the description below to learn more, and thanks to Belkin for sponsoring today's video. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's start right away with Amazon Prime Day. It is now live, and there are a ton of things that are on sale, along with that Belkin charging case for the Switch 2. But I wanted to go over some of the deals here because it does actually include Nintendo first-party games. Now, there is the Switch 2 bundle where it's like choose your own game, and there's a couple of titles you can pick from there. That is currently in stock on Amazon and also other participating retailers. But when it comes to games, it is kind of scattershot. So in some cases, you do have Walmart and Best Buy and Target matching some of these Amazon Prime Day sales, and in some cases even offering more deals. So I'm trying to mark these as best as I can, but we'll go over some for the Switch 2, and then the PlayStation 5, which also kind of merges in with the Xbox. And I even have, which we'll talk about the Steam Machine here soon, I even have a PC recommendation if you're looking for something that's cheaper and more performative than the Steam Machine. Okay, so we'll start here at the top with the Switch 2. And again, going first party right away, Tears of the Kingdom Switch 2 version, that is down to $60. We have Pikmin 4 at $40. Keep in mind, that could also see like a Switch 2 edition down the road. Mario Odyssey, that already has an update for the Switch 2. That's $40 there. Luigi's Mansion, cross my fingers for one there. That's $40. Donkey Kong Country Returns at $40. Mario vs. Donkey Kong at $30. Bravely Default Remastered. Now, this is at Best Buy and GameStop. I know it's a game key card, but that's the whole thing here. If you get them cheap enough, it's like, add it to the collection, I guess, if you want. $20 on that one. Street Fighter 6, that's Best Buy and Target. That's down to $30. Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection. This is a good one here at $40. WWE 2K26. That's at GameStop, coming in at $45. And then GTA Trilogy at GameStop at $20. Good pickup there, just the overall value with all the different Grand Theft Auto or classic kind of Grand Theft Auto games being packed in. Moving over to Sony, again, kind of mixed in here with some of the third party for Xbox. We have the PlayStation Pulse Explorer wireless earbuds. Those are marked all the way down. It's like 50% off or something, down to $99. God of War Ragnarok at $32. Elden Ring at $30. Resident Evil 4 at $20. Astrobot down to $40. Last of Us Part 1 at $35. Sonic Racing Crossworlds at $40. Gran Turismo 7 at $39. Metal Gear Solid Delta, $38. Sonic Superstars down to $20. Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut down to $43. Spider-Man 2 coming in at $32. Persona 3 Reload, that got a pretty good markdown here, physically down to $20. WWE 2K26, again at GameStop for $45. And then Resident Evil Requiem, not a massive deal, but it is down to $56 over at GameStop. Walmart, check this out. When it comes to PCs, this was making the rounds. An Acer Nitro 60 desktop, and it's coming in at $900. It has an RTX 5060 in there, though, and just overall looking at this versus the Steam Machine, seems a bit more capable there overall for a couple $100 cheaper, we'll say, when it comes to the baseline model. But the Amazon Prime Day sales will be going on for the next couple of days, and they also do like these flash sales, so keep an eye on that. And of course, let us know down in the comments if there are any certain deals that you're taking advantage for when it comes to gaming or technology. Next up, let's talk about the Steam Machine. As we did have prices, they were fully revealed, and sticker shock is putting it mildly here, because we even have a version of the Steam Machine without a controller that's priced quite a bit more than people were hoping to see, especially when it was first revealed at the end of last year. Okay, so let's go right to the pricing here. The Steam Machine starts at $1,049. That's the 512 gigabyte model with no controller. If you want a controller with the 512 gigabyte model, it's $1,128. The 2 terabyte without a controller, $1,349. It does come with extra faceplates. They have a red fabric and a solid walnut faceplate. And then if you want that 2 terabyte with a controller, it's $1,428. So, as you would expect, hasn't gone over the best online, because that's just, it puts it in a very weird position when it comes to the pricing, especially once the reviews started hitting and people were doing benchmarks on it. It became very obvious that for that price, yeah, you can definitely make your own PC and probably have some room to spare, which means you could actually make it significantly more powerful than the Steam Machine, especially at that $1,400 price. And then you can also kind of just choose your controller, although I guess you can compare it to the 1,000. Either way, the idea here, though, is when these reviews started to compare it to the base PlayStation 5 that comes with a controller starting at $600, and the Steam Machine was behind in certain cases, like for God of War or even Forza Horizon 5. Not a great look necessarily for Valve with their outing here with this GameCube. Okay, well, what if you don't necessarily want to buy a Steam Machine, but you would like to use the same Steam OS? I mean, I guess there is some good news, as Valve has actually released Steam OS 3.8, and we can see, now this is over on The Verge, saying that Valve says that starting with Steam OS 3.8 release, you can put together your own Steam machine using whatever PC parts you want. Steam OS 3.8.1 launched last week with a slew of updates, including improved compatibility with recent Intel and AMD platforms. Alongside that improved compatibility, Valve is giving gamers the green light to install SteamOS on their own desktops. Again, they mentioned AMD and Intel. Turns out they are working closely at this time with NVIDIA to try to bring support for those video cards, and that would be massive, obviously, for SteamOS. Just Linux in general does favor AMD more than, I mean, Intel is fine, but like definitely more than NVIDIA. There's so many hoops you have to jump through when it comes to just support, to where it's not crashing or doing all kinds of weird issues or even just performing below what you would expect it to. But here, though, having Valve at least work directly with NVIDIA, they're saying by the end of this year, they're planning, well, we'll see how that turns out, planning to have full support for NVIDIA cards. And again, I think we are getting the position of, you know what, Valve, just get SteamOS out there for people to download and put on whatever build they want, because people are already kind of building their own little Steam machines to put alongside of the $1,050 price. Now, I also want to point out that IGN did kind of press Valve a bit on, or at least Valve representatives, on what the price was supposed to be for the Steam machine, because we know the market itself has inflated dramatically when it comes to DRAM. So storage in the Steam machine, even though at 512 gigabytes, more now than it was, especially at the end of last year, but going into 2026, and certainly the 16 gigabytes of DDR5 memory. Well, they couldn't necessarily tell them directly, but they essentially said, look at the Steam Deck, look at the jump that we had to do there for the price increase, which we know was like 35 to 40%. And then you can kind of apply it there and see where we were with it. So really, the Steam machine, it appears, was supposed to come in right around $750. And you know what? If it was actually able to get out at that price, even without a controller, I'd look at it and go, you know what? Okay, there's a case for it then. You know, to be able to buy at $300 less than what it showed up here, even without a controller. Like it's above the PS5 base, sure, but it's below the PS5 Pro. It's so hard to go, well, yeah, the Steam machine, even though the PS5 Pro vastly outperforms it, and it's like $100 some odd cheaper. So it's a very strange situation right now for Valve with this system. Although I think it will fully sell out and people will try to flip them on eBay for twice the amount. We'll see how all of that goes. But if you are someone who wants to throw your hat in the ring for a Steam machine, they do have an open waitlist right now. So you go to the page for the Steam machine, I'll link down below in the sources, you click join waitlist, and then June 25th, 10 a.m. Pacific, they are going to start randomly emailing people order links. And I guess it's just like, hey, here's a 2 terabyte, here's a 1 terabyte, whatever, or here's a 512. They're just going to start throwing them around. And then I guess whatever one shows up for you, you can go ahead and order. And then from there, they'll be shipping them out. So obvious disappointment, I'd say, around the Steam machine with the pricing. We'll see how it does, at least for ordering and release later this week. Next up, let's talk about Astro, because we had some estimated sales figures get out there. And this, I think, was awesome to see, but I was very happy to see this. So we can see, now this is from Reese Elliott, who's the head of market analysis at Linea Analytics. And people are back and forth on how reliable they are, but they tend to be within a margin of error. You could say like 10% even. I'd still be pretty happy if it was 10% less than what he's saying here with Astrobot. sold 4.3 million copies, generating around $250 million for PlayStation. Now, he does say the budget is likely under 100 million. I would say it's, even with marketing, probably significantly under 100 million. If you look at Team Asobi, they're, 65, 70 people that work there. They've been building over the years in terms of their headcount. And they made the game in Japan, like the overall budgets for developer pay is much lower than if you made it certainly in California in the US, but just in general, I think it's way under 100 million in terms of what it costs to get the game to market and then advertise it. So basically, Sony seemed to make some good money with Astrobot, and that's really what it comes down to. I know people may look at that and go, oh, that's it, just over 4 million copies? But when you put it in the context of what the likely budget is, Sony made a pretty good profit on that game, and that it makes me very hopeful for the future of Astro, as this to me is, I mean, it's a franchise or a character that Sony should be working to build on. I mean, every PlayStation 5 that ships out has Astro's Playroom on it, so people are at least somewhat familiar. They've seen Astro. Even just turning the PS5 on for the first time is a good way to introduce you to the system. But because of that, it's something that should be, I think, harnessed and really worked on as we go through, even to the PlayStation 6, but still, I think there's still time on the PS5. We could have another Astro game come out, and it's PS5 and PS6 cross-gen, and you really expand on the idea of Astro going to all these different PlayStation worlds, and it's kind of like Sony's Kingdom Hearts almost, right? Like Astro just goes to these different places. You can even pull out some old games, like how you went to Loco Roco randomly in Astrobot. It's like, what is that? Really? So I think it's a really cool thing for Sony to continue with, and I feel like they will, but this just gives me, I guess, more solid hope, you can say, that Astro will continue to grow going into the future, especially if it's able to gross hundreds of millions of dollars like this. And in our last bit of news, let's talk about Hideo Kojima and OD, which is a game that he's working on in collaboration with Microsoft, as well as a bunch of actors and actresses and directors. It apparently is a whole production right now, and he's been pretty roundabout trying to explain this game and keeping it shrouded in mystery, even though he has shown elements of the game. He's showed at least the quick gameplay, I guess gameplay we'd call it, a trailer where the person was in the room with candles trying to light matches, trying to get them to scream. There's a lot happening there, but still a lot of questions. Well, he did at least explain it a little bit to Entertainment Weekly, which I realize after seeing the URL is abbreviated just EW, which we can see this, where they say, it's difficult even now for Kojima to talk about what the game is without giving it away, but the title speaks to the concept, which is to get the player to overdose on fear. All right, great. Saying, I want to do something new. I want to do something different. I had this OD concept since I was working on Death Stranding 1, and I was working on it just by myself. I can't reveal much detail, but it's something that no one has ever seen before. A new game system. I wanted to go beyond the limit of the scariness that other games had reached. It's a single player game, and I wanted to make it as scary as possible. But for those that might stop playing when it gets too scary, I have thought of a system that will allow them to keep going. I can't say much more because it'll give too much of a hint on the system, and I could get in trouble for saying too much. Now, to go along with this, it appears that Asha Sharma is fully on board with this game, and the reason it even exists in the first place is because Phil Spencer had the Kojima made the pitch to Phil Spencer. He's like, yeah, let's do it. Just green light immediately on that. So I am very curious how exactly he goes, okay, this is too scary for you. Don't worry. We can do rainbows and butterflies and stuff. You're back in the action here. So I guess the idea is to push you to your breaking point when it comes to fear, and then maybe track from there, how far you could overdose on fear. It's, again, he's being very mysterious, very roundabout as they're trying to explain this. But I do like brand new ideas and weird things in gaming, and who better to try to figure something out like this for a new horror game style and approach than Kojima, who just has some of the weirdest ideas, so much so that he apparently wrote a bunch of them down, put them on a flash drive just in case he dies. Hey, that means that the staff at Kojima Productions has all kinds of stuff they can pull from. So that's only from Kojima's mind there. And before we go to the comment of the day, we'll take a look at the poll that I posted up yesterday, where I ask, are you planning to order a Steam machine? Okay, 93% say no. Hey, 7% say yes. I didn't ask if you were a scalper, so I don't know if that would shave it down even further. Look, I do think there are people who are still, excited for it, maybe disappointed at the price, but they like the idea of a living room PC without having to build the living room PC. I still think there are probably going to be some pre-builds that pop up from time to time that will just outright beat it in terms of the price to performance, but it's hard to beat that form factor. I mean, it really is an impressive bit of engineering to get it that small, and a lot of it does end up being proprietary to get it there. And look, the faceplates on the front, fun idea, sure, but it could have been so much better if the Rampocalypse didn't hit, because that thing at like $700 or $750, I feel like just would have been such an easy recommendation. And unfortunately, they missed this whole thing by like a year. I mean, really, if they had released the thing a year ago, sure, they would have gotten more expensive as it went along, but I think a lot of the early adopters, people who've been really excited for this thing, would have already had one anyway then. And we'll finish up with the comment of the day, as you're seeing here. This is from Big Brother. It says, with a budget reportedly over $1 to $1.5 billion, I expect the game to cost in the $100 range. That's for GTA 6. But let's be realistic here. That will not deter nearly 95% from pre-ordering and buying the game. I've already seen some people on social media say, it's $100, whatever. I'll buy it if that's the case. And it's not out of the realm of possibility. They absolutely could go, you know what? It's $99. What are you going to do? And people go, yeah, all right, it's whatever. I'll buy it. It's GTA 6. I've been waiting forever. Sure, fine. It's $20 more maybe than I thought it would be. But keep in mind, they do want people buying in for the online, because they do have shark cards, ways to give them more money after that initial purchase. So I do think they have that in mind as well. I do think, though, they are going to look for that $80 price. If it was $70, I'd go, hey, publisher's not going to be happy about that one. But if it's $70, I think people will be quite relieved. $80 is what I'm expecting. $100, I think a lot of people just kind of grit and bear it and buy it anyway. And ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit that like button. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about here today. If you missed yesterday's Newswave, I'll leave it up here in a card. Or maybe you wanted to hear a bit more discussion around the Steam Machine and the price point. I really dove into it yesterday in a dedicated video, and I'll leave that right below. Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.